In the peacetime years between the French and Indian War and the American Revolution, British soldiers guarded posts deep within North America, frequently accompanied by their families. At the same time, chocolate was becoming more and more popular as the 18th century progressed. Originally, a common drink served at breakfast, by mid-century, this rich beverage found a spot at the table with every meal. Nowhere was this more true than for soldiers and their families living at posts like Fort Ticonderoga. Cacao nibs, the main ingredient in chocolate, came from the Caribbean and South America. To be refined into chocolate, the nibs were shipped to water-powered mills across the colonies, where grindstones liquefied the roasted cacao nibs into a liquor. This cacao liquor was stirred in large kettles until they were poured into 1-pound tin molds and left to cool and harden into bricks or cakes. The finished product often received a maker's stamp embossed into it before wrapped in paper. Once packed into wooden boxes, these bricks shipped to merchants for sale in regional markets. By the 1750s, chocolate was advertised and for sale in Albany and Boston, making its way by boat up the Hudson and onto the shores of Lake Champlain. During the French and Indian War, chocolate was a favorite amongst soldiers serving on Lake Champlain. While the 17th Regiment of Foot garrisoned Ticonderoga in 1760, Captain William Howard purchased 6 pounds of chocolate from the Albany merchant Harman Van Heusen. Crates of chocolate shipped north on Lake Champlain by boat were offloaded onto carts, wagons, and sleds, and pulled by oxen or horses to sutlers in camp. In July of 1760, while at Crown Point, Captain Samuel Jenks recorded in his diary that he bought 50 pounds of chocolate from Mr. Nagel, a sutler with the army. Upon arrival in camp, these chocolate boxes were pried open and individual bricks of chocolate sold to soldiers in the field. Mr. Nagel was not alone in this practice, as Massachusetts merchants William Taylor and Samuel Blodgett acted as sutlers for the army at Crown Point in 1762. Their account book records sales of individual bricks of chocolate sold to soldiers by the pound for 3 shillings and 2 pence. With the peace brought by the end of the French and Indian War, settlements sprang up along the northern banks of the Hudson River and Lake Champlain. Settlers who established these new towns shipped goods from as far away as Connecticut. While settling Pulteney, Vermont in 1771, Ebenezer Allen, Ethan Allen's cousin, shipped goods from Woodbury, Connecticut, from a dry goods merchant by the name of Truman Hinman. Allen received from Hinman large boxes of dry goods and tools to help settle the new town. Acting as a merchant himself, Allen carried goods overland by packhorse with the intention of selling them to settlers just arriving to the new community. Among these goods were luxuries like pipes for smoking tobacco and paper bundles of chocolate. Purchases of large amounts of chocolate extended to individuals without the intent for resale. Captain in the Royal Navy, William Friend, had a comfortable home at Ticonderoga, furnished with the luxuries one would expect in an English estate. Upon capture of Ticonderoga by the Green Mountain Boys in 1775, Friend's private goods, as well as what was in the naval stores at Ticonderoga, were confiscated. Included in the list of property left at Ticonderoga were 22 pounds of chocolate, valued at 3 shillings a pound. Captain Friend requested return or reimbursement for each item, in which Benedict Arnold, Commander-in-Chief at Ticonderoga, wrote to Friend stating, "But as General Gage, who has the character of a humane, generous officer, has thought proper to detain the property of the merchants in Boston, I think it prudent to follow his example for the present." Arnold therefore refused to return Friend's private property, inclusive of his 22 pounds of chocolate. For those who could not buy chocolate in bulk straight from merchants, or had no opportunity for purchasing chocolate from army sutlers, they could easily go to local markets to buy chocolate for making this delicious drink. Ticonderoga itself acted as a market throughout the peacetime years and even into the American Revolution. Sally Markham, a resident of Addison, Vermont, explained in her pension application after the Revolutionary War. The market for farm produce was at Crown Point in Ticonderoga, where were stores, one at Watson's Point on the east side, where potash was made also. All kinds of foreign and West India goods were to be had at these places, and ready money of silver was paid for articles of produce. Soldiers were not the sole customers at Ticonderoga's market. With the money women made as laundresses and performing other tasks for the army, they too could easily frequent the market and purchase chocolate in affordable quantities. Individual chocolate bricks were then grated or shaved into boiling water, milk, and even spirits. Once frothed in a chocolate pot, this beverage could be enjoyed. Whether tending to gardens and livestock, laundering clothing and bedding, or fishing and hunting, soldiers and their families expected a daily break upon hearing roast beef played on the drums and fifes. This tune signaled it was time for dinner, a formal occasion within both civilian and military life. While women and children pulled the pot off the fire and set the table in the mess room of the fort, soldiers donned their full-dress uniform coat, breeches and waistcoats brushed clean, and their cocked hats. At the door, a wash basin and soap allowed them to clean their hands, drying them from a towel hung from the back of the door. Together, they sat at a table furnished with a clean tablecloth. In front of each of them, a personal set of knives, forks, and spoons resting on a napkin. The pot of food rested on a table to serve themselves from, as bread passed between them at the table. After the main course, a chocolate pot made its way around the table, filling everyone's cup with this delicious and nutritional drink so popular among soldiers and their families living at Fort Ticonderoga.